Hello, my name is Jeffrey Watson,
And I'm Ethan Edwards.
and this is the Ridge Podcast. Hello, everyone. Today we have on a very special guest, Sergeant Jennings of the United States Army. He's a recruiter. Sergeant Jennings, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you, bud?
We're doing fine. I think for me and Ethan, it's an honor to have you on today. We're really excited. With most of our interviews, we like to start off with the basics. So where did you grow up?
Woodlawn, Virginia. Here.
Okay. Where'd you go to elementary school?
Glayville.
Glayville?
Yeah.
That's where I went too. That's right. So did you play any sports in school?
No, not really. Done a lot of rodeo, though.
Okay.
Or, you mind talking about that a little bit?
Tear up your body real quick. I know that much.
We have some friends that do it.
Yeah.
And they've gotten hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll do it to you.
So how old were you when you started rodeo?
What, 16?
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah. Our friends started about that age too. About our age, yeah. So, where'd you go to middle school?
Woodlawn.
Woodlawn, yeah.
But it's all shut down now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They've turned it into apartments.
Yep.
That's interesting. Yeah. So were you there from 6th to 9th grade?
Yep.
Okay, and then you went to Kerr County High School.
Yep.
After that.
Sure did.
Were you very academic in high school?
Somewhat. I mean, not a whole lot, but somewhat.
Did you kind of know that you want to go into the service after high school? Or?
Well, I didn't go into the service straight after high school.
Okay.
Got married straight out of high school and had a kid, lived around here, economy went bad, and then I decided to join the service because it's pretty much something I'd always wanted to do.
So where did you work during that time between high school and the service?
Magnolia,
Okay.
Guardian, the local factories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jobs that really wasn't going to put me on the right path for a good future, pretty much.
Yeah. So, you mentioned being somewhat academic in school. Did you do JROTC at the high school?
Never did.
No? Okay. Is that something you recommend to people thinking about joining the service nowadays?
It'll help. Like, it helps because then it preps you the basics of what you need to know. So that way, if you do decide to join the service, you're pretty much on the right path and you don't know. So it helps out.
I looked into it, and I think if you did 3 years of JROTC, you would enter the service as an E2.
E3.
E3, okay.
Yep.
So, yeah, as opposed to entering as an E1.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
So it'll get you good. It'll
Yeah.
get you that pay rank.
Yeah.
So the economy's bad. Was this about 2008 or 9 when you were?
When I joined the service, 2011.
Okay.
Okay.
So the economy's bad. You're working in the factories. What was that decision like to go ahead or to take that leap from leaving the local area and going ahead and joining up?
I went. There was no hesitation, no nothing. It's something I'd always wanted to do. Kind of like in the local area. Moms, dads talk you out of it. Get in your head, oh, it's bad. You're never going to come home. That's not true. I went, I'm fine, I'm back. And it's opened the door for a lot of stuff that I never got to if I'd just hung around here.
So can you talk about your boot camp experience?
Yeah.
So you go in. What was that like? Was it a culture shock when you first get in? Or?
Yeah, real culture shock. Walks of life from everywhere. People from all over the United States, even people from different countries when I joined. It's not like that no more, per se. They don't treat you like they did when I joined. But yeah, it was a real big shock. The minute I stepped off the bus, I was like, ooh, what'd I get myself into?
So there's an Army office in Enlisted, right? And that's where you work?
Yeah.
Is that where you shipped out of when you enlisted?
They send you to Beckley MEPS in West Virginia.
Okay.
And from there, that's where you ship off from.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
Yep.
And did you go to Fort Benning or Fort Jackson?
I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
For SEAL Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that different than other boot camps?
It's basic training's the same, no matter pretty much where you go. Fort Jackson, South Carolina, Fort Benning in Georgia, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, or Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where I went. Its only difference is the weather, pretty much. I mean, Fort Sill's hot, dry, humid. Feels like you's burning up in the middle of summer. But yeah, it's really different.
Can you tell us a bit more about your boot camp experience? Were they...
What is the training like?
Yeah.
The training like rigorous.
Yeah.
Rigorous, but everything's done for a purpose because they're stripping away the civilian and they're making you a soldier. So everybody that goes, they got to have that mindset. They're yelling at you, they're doing things, everything is with a purpose
Yeah.
and a reason. And it's not bad, honestly.
Did they study the shark? I know they moved away from this, they call it the shark attack, right, when you first get there.
Yeah, they moved away from that.
What are they doing now? It's a more team building exercise.
It's more of a team building exercise. They have them do, like, when they arrive, like an obstacle course, build this wall and stuff like that. It's more team building. So they've realized that different generations respond different ways. My generation, different generation, older generation, they know they could yell at us and we'd get the point.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they're like, okay, team building exercises will help out a little bit more than instead of just sitting there screaming at them.
Yeah.
So it actually helps and works.
Because I read they started that kind of around Vietnam. There are a lot of draftees coming in, and so now it's like a completely volunteer army. So they need to work a little bit differently.
Well, it was a volunteer army then too.
Yeah.
It's just that war they had to open up the draft.
Yeah. So what's the physicality of boot camp like?
I mean, they don't really do what they call smoking anymore, like a whole lot. Used to, they'd smoke you like no one's business. So you'd be doing push-ups all day long, sit-ups all day long. You blink the wrong way, you'd be doing something all day long. Now they don't really do that. They'll do what's the punishment, because it's pretty much like a punishment for not listening, because they're trying to get you to understand. Now they'll make you do like 10, 20, and then let you get up, and then you move on, and stuff like that. It's not that bad, actually. I've had multiple people come back on hometown recruiting and come back home, and they're like, it was rough starting out the first couple of weeks, but then after that, there's like, I actually had a good time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so for our listeners who don't know, how long is boot camp?
9 weeks.
9 weeks, yeah. And where do you go after boot camp?
You go to your AIT, your job training.
Okay, yeah.
So if it's an OSET job, 12 Bravo combat engineers, 13 Bravos, my MOS, field artillery, you stay where you're at.
Okay.
So you'll just walk across the road, walk down the street, and you're still in the same place. It's according where you go. You can go to Fort Jackson and then go all the way to Fort Leonard Wood. But you do your job training after that, and that's when it's real laid back.
Yeah. Do most infantry recruits train at Fort Benning?
Yeah, they all train at Benning.
Yeah. Because I heard that you can just go straight into your infantry training.
Yeah.
After living boot camps, it's more of a cohesive experience.
Yeah.
More straight. What job did you sign up for when you went to the recruiter?
13 Bravo.
13 Bravo. Can you explain what that is?
It's field artillery, cannon crew member.
Okay.
So you basically take a huge cannon and shoot a 155 millimeter howitzer round.
So, was there any worry about not getting what you requested when you enlisted? No.
No.
Is it a guarantee? Or?
It's a guarantee.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a guarantee from when I joined. It's a guarantee now.
Okay. Yeah.
So
has
you pick.
Has it always been like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always been like that.
We spoke with a veteran a few months ago. He was a networking or like switching communications, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't recall if he said that's what he requested. Can you decide not to request something and have them pick out something for you? Have your recruiter?
No. You have to pick now.
Okay.
Automatically, you have to pick.
And are you given a list of options, so to speak? Okay.
Yep. It pops up on the computer. Everything's based off your test scores. Higher the test scores, the more jobs, stuff like that.
So that's the ASVAB.
Yep, that's the ASVAB.
And is there another one?
That's it.
That's it? Okay.
That's the ASVAB.
Can you walk us through what the ASVAB is like?
There's only 4 parts that count. Reading, mathematics, word comprehension, and arithmetic reasoning.
Okay.
It's the only 4 parts that count. But then you have a array of mechanical questions, electrical questions, stuff like that. Them's the only 4 parts that counts towards your test score. So if you do good at those, the higher the score, the more jobs.
Yeah.
What's the test scored on? From 0 to 100 or?
Yeah, pretty much. From you can fail the whole thing or you can ace the whole thing.
Yeah.
What's an average score for around here?
An average score for around here? Honestly, about a 10.
Oh, okay.
Most people don't pass it around here. If they do, they've really studied hard or they're actually pretty smart. It took me, personally, 3 times before I passed it.
So you can't retake it?
Oh, you can take it as much as you want.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Yeah, so our high school offers ASVAB testing every year. and I've considered doing it, but I didn't know if there was a limit or...
Take it.
Yeah.
Definitely take it. Because then it helps too. You'll know what your score on your SATs at the end of the year. So if you do want to go to college and not join the service, it helps with that. You can be like, oh, I need to work on this.
Yeah.
Do you know what scores you need? Did you know what score you needed to become a
field artillery?
31.
31.
Just the entry score.
Okay.
That's all you need. For combat jobs, all you need is a 31.
31.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that the scale is on 0 to 100. What are some of the jobs that would require like a higher score, maybe an 80 or a 90?
Aviation jobs.
Okay, yeah.
Stuff like that. It's real high tech, so you got to score pretty high to get those.
I see.
With the Army upgrading, they kind of want you to have a little bit of a higher score now too. You don't have to. You can still get a 31 and join the combat jobs if you're interested in that. But even the combat jobs are going to some technical stuff. Real technical stuff.
Can you talk a little bit about your experience at the Field Artillery Training School and how it compares to other schools, like infantry school?
Infantry school's pretty much basic, just a little bit more advanced. I'm not infantry. I never went to infantry school. So I don't know about infantry AIT, in all honesty with you. My school it's only 5 weeks. That's it. Same pretty much, I think infantry school's 5 weeks as well. It's just basically an advancement on what you've pretty much done, except you're just learning your job and that's it.
Yeah.
After AIT, you, I guess, fully into service.
Yep.
And you're assigned a base to go to. And I believe you can kind of pick a base, but that doesn't guarantee that you're sent there, but you can give a preference.
No. If you enlist now, they call it Option 19.
Okay.
Certain jobs have Option 19 available with it. Some don't. It's according to how bad they need people in that MOS. So if you pick a job and it's got Option 19 with it, you're guaranteed to pick your first duty station.
Oh, okay.
So there's no ifs, ands, or buts requesting anything. It's like, I want to go here. Option 19 is available. You pick it, you go there.
Wait, does that...
Just like your job.
Is that everywhere around the world, or is that limited?
Yeah, anywhere around the world.
Wow, okay.
So how long are you at a duty station for?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
So you could pretty much spend your whole...
You can spend your whole career at one place if you want to. I've only been stationed at 2 spots.
Okay.
Fort Lewis, Washington, and then Fort Riley, Kansas.
Can you request to move duty station?
Yeah. You can request to move. You can get to one, pull 2 years at that duty station, and then request to move. That's it.
Is it what you chose to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So is there a final exam for the Field Artillery School?
Or
how does that work?
Or AIT schools in general?
It's pretty much you go out and it's like a training exercise. It is like a final exam in a way.
Yeah.
You have your instructors there. They're keeping score. They're watching what y'all are doing. Because then they train you the whole time. And then I think it was 3 days you're out in the field. And then you're basically just shooting the gun, shooting the rounds. And they're making sure that you're doing everything that they taught you.
Yeah.
And then you're good to go.
All right. So you graduated and you went to Fort... You went to Fort... Where was it?
Fort Lewis.
Fort Lewis in Washington.
Yeah.
What was that move like from here to...
From here to there, a big shock because it's really different out there.
Yeah, I bet.
Really different.
Yeah. So you were there for... How long were you there?
5 years.
5 years,
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did you decide to move bases?
Pretty much got tired of it out there. I was like, let's go somewhere different.
Yeah. Did you... Your MOS was field artillery. Is that what you practiced in?
Oh, all the
Washington?
time.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
All the time.
Did you have any other duties outside of your MOS?
No.
No?
Not out there.
Did you at your next base?
No, not really. There's no really... I mean, you got, as an NCO, once you become an NCO, a non-commissioned officer, they can give you extra duties. But sometimes it's just like being the seed burn guy for the chemical and biological and nuclear stuff, keeping track of stuff like that. But you're still doing your job at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's just little extra duties that you'll do.
Yeah. So
did your family move out with you to Washington?
Oh, yeah. Everywhere I go, they go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you mentioned an NCO. Can you explain the ranking system in the Army, like E1, E2, up to E8, which I believe you are?
No, I'm at E6.
E6, okay.
I'm a staff sergeant.
Staff. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You are right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll take that pay raise.
Yeah. Okay. So can you explain that process from becoming an E1 to an E6?
So E1 through E4 is automatically given in the Army. Mm-hmm. Unlike the Navy, Marines, and Air Force, you have to take a test, and then I know you take a test, and then you take a leadership test. Mm-hmm. So for even as a private in those three branches, you still have to take tests to get that rank. Because the Army's the biggest, mm-hmm. We need more people. We need more people in ranks. Mm-hmm. So E1 through E4 is automatically given to you. Okay. You just got to pull your time. Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah. After that, to become an NCO, non-commissioned officer, in E5, you have to go to the board. You sit in front of all first sergeants, mm-hmm. E8s, and sergeant major in E9. Mm-hmm. You answer questions on scenarios, leadership questions. If you pass that, you go to what's called BLC, Basic Leadership Course. Okay. You do it for 1 month, and then you graduate, you're an E5. Okay. Same thing for E6. Okay. Now, after E6 is basically for E7, Sergeant First Class, mm-hmm. is basically doing an online leadership course and then waiting to see if you make it and going to SLC, Senior Leadership course. Okay. And then you go to that, and then you become a Sergeant First Class. Okay.
What is the highest level, like an
E9.
E9?
Sergeant Major. There's only one Sergeant Major in the Army, mm-hmm. and good luck getting that.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So, can you tell us a bit about, you mentioned the leadership training. Can you tell us a bit about what that was like?
It's basically breaking down scenarios on what you would do as a leader, because you're the main one in charge. So, your subordinates underneath you, what you would do if this scenario would pop up, this and that, going in advance into your job, advance into map reading, land nav, all that stuff. So that way you're not the student anymore, you're the teacher. Mm-hmm. So that's what it basically breaks down, and that's what you're doing the whole time.
Okay. Okay. So right now you're a recruiter.
Yep.
And before that you were field artillery.
Still am.
Still am. Okay. So do you still work within field artillery as a recruiter? Is that an additional duty that you have, or did you kind of change?
You don't really change. You can reclass to this mm-hmm. job.
Okay.
And it's called a 79 Romeo, okay. which is a recruiter. If not, this is what's called my broadening assignment. Okay. Every NCO, the minute you get what's called KD complete, you have to do a broadening assignment. It's recommended. Okay. It basically makes you look really good in your career. So you either got to be an instructor for like BLC, SLC, mm-hmm. stuff like that, a drill sergeant, mm-hmm. or a recruiter. Okay. And you do those, and then your broadening assignment's complete. So this is just a temporary assignment.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
So if you had chosen to be a drill instructor or a drill sergeant, would you have to go to another school to train for that beforehand?
That's at Fort Jackson.
Yeah. So you chose to become a recruiter?
Yeah.
Why did
you? Not really, but.
Okay. Could you tell us about that?
Sometimes it's the needs of the Army. Mm-hmm. So when you get to my level, you can volunteer for something, but then the Army's going to be like, we don't need you there, we need you here. Okay. Yeah. But in all honesty, looking back, I mean, I kind of volunteered for drill sergeant, mm-hmm. but then I got voluntold to be a recruiter because I needed recruiters really bad. Yeah. But the good thing is about this is I'm home every day. Mm-hmm. I get to see my family a lot. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that. Drill sergeants, not so much. Yeah. You're 24/7 with the recruits. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's hard life.
That must be hard on personal life, too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little strenuous.
So, can you tell us about your experiences being a recruiter? You mentioned off the tape that you've been a recruiter for 2 years now.
Yeah.
What was the first few months being a recruiter like? And did you have to go through any schooling?
So, you do about 35 days at Fort Knox, Kentucky. You go through what's called the ARC, Army Recruiting College. Mm-hmm. So this actually counts as a school. It's called a leadership school pretty much. So you go through that, then you get your assignment. Mm-hmm. I picked here, I got here. Normally they send you back to where you're from. Mm-hmm. So that way you can do real good and stuff like that.
Yeah. You know the area.
And you can relate. Yeah. But it's been really good. I mean, it's a little strenuous starting out mm-hmm. and stuff like that. Yeah. It's trying to get your bearings, how to talk to people, mm-hmm. because you're a little bit backwards because you never had to talk mm-hmm. like what you're having to do now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even talking to us.
Yeah, even different. Talking to y'all is a whole lot different than what I was used to.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
So can Is there a specific approach you take when approaching potential recruits?
I just ask. I just ask.
Straightforward?
Straightforward. I just ask. Yeah. There's no such things as pixie dust and unicorns. Yeah. I tell everybody the good, the bad, the ugly. Anything they want to know. And then it's from there, it's a volunteer. Yeah. So it's up to them. If they like what they hear, okay. We'll go from there. If they don't, okay.
Yeah. And I've seen you a lot around at our school, Kirkland High School. Do you usually see a lot of recruits coming from those school visits?
Carroll County's the one that mainly people join out of my area. Yeah. Not so much Galax, not so much Grayson. I don't know why, but they do.
Do they have JROTC programs as well?
I think they have a Navy one, don't they? In Grayson County.
Yeah, Grayson County they got a Navy, JROTC, but it's not like the one Carroll County has. It's more of a military science.
Okay.
And stuff like that. Carroll County is an actually credited JROTC.
Okay. Yeah. So, do you think that has something to do with the higher recruitment numbers from our school?
Not really.
No.
It's just one less, for some reason, people out of Carroll County join a little bit more.
Maybe it's the size, because I know we're pretty big.
It could be.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through from the moment a potential recruit comes and shows interest in joining to when they leave your, I don't really care, but they leave your expertise and actually joins the Army? What's that process like, and how long does it really take between first showing interest and actually shipping out to boot camp?
It's according about the individual. If there's no medical problems, no major law violations, and they can pass the test, they can join within 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. If there's medical problems or law violations like that, it can be up to 45 days or longer, because we have to get all acquired documents and show everything for them. Starting off, they'll take the test. Pass the test, they'll take the physical. Once they pass the physical, they'll enlist.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they ship out.
What's the physical test like?
It's not bad. They just basically are making sure there's nothing wrong with you. They're checking your eyes, your throat, your ears,
so
stuff like that.
It's not like a exercise test?
No, it's no exercise test.
Yeah,
it's just they're checking you out to make sure you're good to go.
That comes later at boot camp, I guess.
Oh yeah, the exercise test comes at boot camp.
Yeah.
So you said major law violations. Can you join the Army with a felony conviction?
No more than 2.
No more than 2.
If they have to, then they're pretty much disqualified.
Does the classes of felonies affect whether you can join or not?
Some of them, yeah. So if they've got like armed robbery or something like that, and they're not allowed to have weapons and stuff like that, they can't join.
It's problematic,
Yeah.
If they got a judge to sign off on that, could they join?
No. They still can't join.
Okay. So, can you tell us about drug violations that can sometimes...
Because that's to be a major problem, especially.
Yeah. Well, yeah, now it's kind of a big problem and stuff like that, but they can join with a drug violation. It's just a process. Getting their court documents, what the judge had to say, and all this stuff. If they've got a bunch of them, they're not going nowhere.
Yeah.
But if they've got like one and they messed up and they got caught with something small, yeah, they can join.
So you mentioned the judge having something to say about it. Do you usually go with a recruit when they're going through that process of trying to get cleared to be able to join? Or how involved are you in that process?
They sign a piece of paper, and I go get everything.
Oh, okay.
So they don't go with me.
I see. Yeah,
I go do it all.
Okay. Wow. I didn't realize that. Yeah. So you're based out of Wytheville. How often do you have to travel to like our area? So I'm assuming you're an hour away from Carroll.
Almost every other day.
Every other day.
Yeah. Every other day I'm out in this area.
Yeah. Do people usually reach out to you, or do you have to reach out to them?
Normally I have to reach out to them. It's rougher nowadays. Most people aren't interested. The people that I normally get are graduates that's been out and they're in their 20s and they've noticed that they're not going nowhere.
Yeah.
Them's the people that normally want to enlist and stuff like that.
Yeah, so kind of similar to your situation.
Yeah.
More or less, yeah.
Would you recommend enlisting later or enlisting right out of high school?
Right out of high school.
Yeah.
I'm 36 now. I'm going to be 44 and I'm retired.
Yeah.
So if you enlist straight out of high school, if I would have even done it straight out of high school, this would have been my last 3 years. So I would have been 38 and been retired. There ain't a whole lot of people around here I know that's at that age that say they can retire.
That's true. Yeah.
There's not.
So you are trying to go full. You're full.
Oh, I'm
Is it-
definitely going full.
Yeah, is it 20 years?
It's 20 years.
20 years. Would you consider staying longer than 20 years?
Yes. Because the longer you stay, the more benefits you get for staying a little bit longer.
Can an NCO go to officers training school?
Yeah, you can go what's called from green to gold.
So is that warrant officer?
Well, that's different than a commissioned officer.
Okay.
Warrant officer, you don't have to have a college degree. You're just basically a subject matter expert in your field, and that's what you'll pick and that's what you'll do. And you just go through warrant officer training and stuff like that. It's a packet, and then you go to the school. Green to gold, you actually have to have a college degree. So you get your, yep,
Go through the process.
go through the process.
That OTS.
Yep. Then you go through OCS, officer candidate school, and then you become an officer.
Would people who've already enlisted go through ROTC while they're completing their degree, or is that not common?
You can actually go through the colleges and become an officer straight out.
Yeah, so
And
next
not
to
even go
ROTC.
enlisted. Yeah.
Next to ROTC, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so could a person who's previously been enlisted go through ROTC as they're completing their degree?
Yeah. If they get out of the military and then they decide, hey, I want to go to college.
Yeah.
But while they're at college, they're like, hey, I want to come back in, but I want to go as an officer. They can enlist in the ROTC program through that college, so that way they commission.
Yeah, Virginia Tech has a pretty active one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of things is, though, too, and a lot of high schoolers that I tell them and stuff like that, join the reserves in the high school because it works different in the military. Yes, you got college students, they're in ROTC, they're going to be an officer. But if you're in the reserves while you're in college, your college is paid for because the reserves is paying for it. The Army, it pretty much is. And then it looks better on you because you've played both sides of the field.
Yeah.
So when it comes time for promotion, once you're done with college and you're an officer in the Army, they look at that. So they're like, this dude's got 6 years in of actual military time. This guy's only got 2. So you're going to get promoted before John Doe next to you.
Yeah.
So would you go to boot camp before you go to college?
Yeah.
For
You'd go to
reserves.
basic, AIT, and then you would go to college. You come back and you go to college.
So
And that's it.
do you do recruiting for the reserves as well? Is there a difference? Okay, so it's the same. You're the same recruiter for both the reserves
Same,
and
yep.
active service. So
Yep.
how common is it for people to enter into the reserves?
It's kind of common, especially for high school students. That's 17, 18, and they're fixing to graduate, and they definitely want to go to college, but they don't have scholarships.
Yeah.
They don't have none of that stuff. It's very common for them to join the reserves because it's their smartest goal, because you can always switch from reserves to active duty down the road if you want to.
Yeah. Okay.
What's that process like of switching from reserves to active duty? Can it happen automatically?
Piece of paper.
Really?
That's it. Piece of paper.
What are the service obligations like for being in the reserves?
3-year commitment, just like active duty, except you only put on a uniform 2 days out of the month. So you go to the drill, and you're done. 2 weeks out of that whole year, you go and you do your training on your job. That's it.
Is that something you would recommend to a student like me or Luke who know we want to go to college but are unsure about
Most definitely.
service? Yeah.
Most definitely. We have a progress through Emory and Henry. If you're in the reserves and you go through Emory and Henry through their ROTC process, room and board is free.
That's-
That's substantial.
And then the Army's going to pay for your degree.
Wow.
So after you get out of college, is there a service obligation like there would be for a service academy?
So if you're in the reserves, you're still going to have to fulfill that contract, just like active duty, except you're going to go from enlisted. Once you graduate, you're going to be an officer, so you're going to be a lieutenant. That's it.
So it's different from ROTC because you're in service as you're doing your degree.
Yeah,
And then afterwards you have your degree and then you can become an officer.
exactly.
Because like VMI, once they graduate, I think it's a 6-year commitment.
Yeah,
After they graduate.
Yeah, and then-
so there isn't a commitment like that for after.
that's only if they take it. They don't have to take it.
Yeah,
They
so that's
can
if you
pay,
take the
yeah.
scholarship, right?
They don't have to take it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which would be.
which would be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I believe it's similar at Virginia Tech. You can do ROTC through Virginia Tech,
Yep.
and then you have 5 or 6 year commitment afterwards after you graduate and you're an officer in the service.
Yeah, but you don't have to do once you go through ROTC, even through like Virginia Tech, there's no commitment.
Unless you get the
what I'm saying?
scholarship.
Well, even the scholarship, you just fulfill your contract for the Army. So if it's 3 years, that's your commitment.
Oh,
That's it.
I see.
That's all it is.
Huh. I didn't realize that.
That's all you do.
It's a bit confusing online because I've read about this a lot. And
See, that's why there's
that's
people
right.
like
Recruiters
me.
exist. Yeah, exactly.
Because online does a lot of false stuff. It's a lot of old stuff, like real old stuff.
Yeah.
So if you want to get down
You have the most
to
up-to-date information.
Yeah.
So you work at the Armed Services Center in Whitfield, correct?
Yeah.
How many other recruiters do you work with? Do you work with Navy recruiters or Air Force recruiters?
just 2. There's 3 Army recruiters, and then 1 Marine recruiter down the hallway.
Okay.
Does he do Navy too?
No, just the Marine Corps. That's it.
How often do recruiters try to go after the same recruit? If
Not
like,
often.
Do you kind of have lines drawn, or
Yeah, pretty much. If someone talks to somebody, we leave them alone.
yeah? Okay.
Pretty much.
So you might not be able to answer this, but why would you recommend the Army over the Navy or another service branch? What's the benefits of joining the Army specifically?
We're the biggest. We're the oldest. You got to look at it as, I know I'm going to draw this out. People can't see this stuff, right?
Yeah.
You got the Army, right? Then you got the Marine Corps. Then you got the Navy. Then you got the Air Force, right? If you want to promote and make, because the pay is the same no matter what branch you join, because it's based off your rank.
Yeah.
So if like a different recruiter from a different branch says, "Oh, you'll make more money with us," they're lying to you. An E1's an E1. It don't matter what branch of the Army service that you're in. If you want to get ranked up quicker, the Army's the way to do it, because we are the biggest. So
More
we have the
positions.
most potential for you to progress in your career. There's pretty much a family member of mine. It's in the Marine Corps. 22 years in, same rank as me, and they're fixing to retire. I'm pretty much guaranteed going to be a first sergeant when I retire. Big difference. So that way, when I retire, I'm making more money because I retired at a different rank, a higher rank.
Okay.
So that's the way it works out pretty much, and that's why I recommend a lot of times people do join the Army, because we have everything else pretty much that every other branch has. You want to be a boat mechanic? That's a job in the Army.
Yeah.
It's also a job in the Navy, right?
Probably easier to get in the Army.
You want to fly and be a pilot? That's a job in the Army. Believe it or not, we actually have that. It's just you can't fly jets because we don't have those fighter jets. That's it. But then to do that, you got to be a certain height, certain weight, certain vision, all that stuff. A lot of people don't realize they're not qualified for that job if they want to just join the Air Force and do that. But you do qualify for the Army. We have to teach the Marine Corps how to do my job. So at Fort Sill, there's Army instructors teaching the Marines how to shoot field artillery. Also, we're the only branch that's airborne. So we have to teach every other branch to jump out of planes if they want to go airborne. That's how a big impact the Army is. If the Air Force falls below a certain number and they can't recruit people, they go back to the Army. Because there originally was no Air Force. The Army Air Corps.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So if the recruiting falls below a certain level, they would be reincorporated into the Army?
They have to reincorporate back into the Army.
Wow. That's,
Is that a possibility?
No, I doubt it.
Because I think a little bit later we want to touch on another topic. Would you recommend these service academies?
like
the West Point or VMI?
So with West Point, you actually have, it's hard to get into.
yeah.
You have to know an officer. They have to write recommendation letters, all that stuff. That's actually a really hard school to get into.
I think it's even congressional.
Yes.
Yeah. Same thing with the Air Force Academy too. You have
It's
to get
really hard to get into. You got to know somebody.
Is it as hard to get into as West Point?
What
the
is?
Naval Academy?
Yeah.
Indianapolis.
It's just as hard to get into.
And I heard the academics are.
It's
pretty
insane.
crazy. It's insane.
For like the first, I know for a fact at West Point, talking to officers that went to West Point that I know, like the first year or two, they can't even drive a car. They can't go nowhere.
Yeah.
It's really strenuous and stuff. They have a lot of rules at those colleges.
yeah, I bet.
Are they active duty at that point too when they're in
No,
colleges?
they're just cadets.
Cadets? Because I thought they
That's
went to
it.
boot camp before.
They don't go to basic training.
I guess you're time at the academy serves as your basic
So they
training.
never go to basic training. I guess they do that there, right?
They don't even do basic training.
Okay.
They go through officer training, which is a little bit different.
Okay, yeah. So you mentioned being a pilot in the Army. That's something I'm interested in. I've pondered the Air Force because I would like to be a pilot, and maybe the Army because pilots in the Army, there are pilots in the Army apparently. I didn't know that.
Mhm.
What would be the process for becoming a pilot?
You pick the job.
Pick it, yeah. Is it?
That's it.
Does it have that option 19 as well?
It's
Or-
according what it is. That stuff changes every day.
Okay, I see.
Basically, we have what's called training seats. Training seats are worldwide because not only is there people here in America that want to join, there's also military kids in like Germany, Korea, stuff like that, and down in Hawaii, stuff like that, that also join the military. So there's recruiters out there in Italy. So those training seats are worldwide. So when there's like 3, that's worldwide.
Yeah.
So normally when someone's sitting down with me and they're like, I want this job, and okay, there's 2 training seats available. When they tell me they want to wait, and they're like, oh, I want to talk about it for a couple of days, 9 times out of 10 they lose that chance. Because it's like when you're sitting there and I have it up, your best bet's to pick it then.
You gotta take it. Yeah.
Don't ponder.
Can citizens from other countries join the service?
Yeah, I was about to ask about foreign nationals because I think they can join the armed services too. Right?
Well, they can't.
They
Okay.
can.
They have to become a citizen here.
Okay.
Now, they can join if they're in the process
Okay.
of becoming
Okay,
a
yeah,
citizen.
That's what I was about to ask.
But they have to have everything started, and it's got to be going through everything.
So someone who's established residency here could enlist?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have talked to one guy from the UK
Okay.
that wanted to join the Army.
Could that joining the service
Could it
help with that
help with
process
the
of becoming a
process?
citizen?
It helps per se, but they still can't ship out to basic until they have their I-55 card.
Okay.
So their citizenship card.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah.
So we can get everything going, but they can't leave for basic until they're an actual United States citizen.
Okay. Yeah. Because I always thought that a foreign national could come and join while they're in the process of it and still be in the military.
They can
but
be-
not be a U.S. citizen.
They can do the process
Yeah.
of joining while it's going through, but they actually have to be a citizen before they can ship. When I joined, it was different. That helped them get their citizenship.
I see. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking.
But then they realized that, pretty much the government realized that some people actually wasn't who they were. And then after they graduated, they had to wind up getting rid of them. Because then they found out who they truly were.
Yeah. And would that be a dishonorable discharge at that point?
At that point, it's pretty much a general, and they just let them go
Okay.
for that. That didn't last long.
Yeah.
That only lasted like a year. And then they cut that out, and then it's never been like that since.
Can you talk about the different discharges? Because they used to say a dishonorable discharge is like a kiss of death for a job opportunity,
Pretty much.
worse than a felony. Is it still kind of? I know it has to be different today, but it's still very.
No, it's still the same.
Yeah.
You're
That's
ruining
really
your
bad.
life if you're doing
Yeah.
that.
Can you talk about the offenses between a dishonorable discharge, a general, and then an honorable discharge?
So a general pretty much makes it out like you was never in the military. Pretty much. Jobs do see it. It's not great. They're still going to ask. A lot of people are like, oh, I'll just hide it. You can't hide it. They're still going to see that you was in the military, and they're going to be like, well, what'd you get out for? 9 times out of 10, it's for you've done something, but they've showed a little lenience because you did do good throughout your career. But you messed up and you was a human. Dishonorable, you messed up real bad. Okay, you done something. All right, you're done for that because everything that all pops up for a job.
Would that be equivalent to a criminal offense or a court-martial to be dishonorably discharged? Or can
Yeah,
it be?
it's going to be like court-martialed.
Yeah.
Like you're done. You're done.
How common is that?
You don't really see it a whole lot. Like I said, you've really had to mess up. You've had to do something really, really bad. Even just like in the civilian side, you've had to do something really bad.
If you get a court-martial, is that equivalent to a felony in the civilian world?
Pretty much, in a way. Yeah, for to say.
So I guess, do you have to put that on job applications when you apply?
Even if you don't, it's going to automatically pop up.
Yeah, so like
Because
a
I know
background check, I
you're
guess.
legally
Yep.
required to say that you have a felony conviction.
Oh, they're going to see it.
Yeah.
They're going to see it.
So, if you're enlisting in the Army, does the Army, or any other service for that matter, does the Army take into account any prior jobs or training that you've had? Say that, not necessarily a degree, but you have like an industry certification, welding, for example.
Yeah.
Could that play a role in the process?
Somewhat plays a role because it's still considered like a college. So it basically, when you're enlisting, it helps get you the next rank up and stuff like that, because you do have like some sort of college time in.
Okay, yeah. So,
Do you see any booms in enlistments around certain periods of time? Because like after 9/11, for example, everybody joined. After World War, after Pearl Harbor, everybody joined.
we spoke to a veteran and he cited 9/11 for being the reason that he joined.
He joined up. Do you see major spikes in enlistments during certain times?
As of now, because there's nothing going on,
Yeah.
there's really nothing. A lot of kids and stuff nowadays, they tell me they're going to be TikTok famous.
Yeah.
Have fun, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
That's normally what I say, because everybody's doing that. There's not really an increase. The only increase that we have is about 2-3 months after graduations. There's a big increase, but it's not huge. But there is an increase, because then a lot of times they realize, I'm struggling to pay my bills. This job ain't paying me nothing. Stuff like that. There's no benefits to it. I'm going to work until I'm 70-some years old.
I guess that's when the real world starts to...
That's when the real world starts to kick in, when they realize, okay, I'm going to do something else.
And that kind of brings us to our next question we wanted to discuss is, there is a recruiting crisis going on right now.
Very much.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Just how?
The Army is, I think the last time that we spoke with the command team and everything, we was at least 120,000 short, which is a lot.
Yeah, that's substantial.
And that's the reason why we're short, is because no one really wants to join the military nowadays. Pretty much.
In the news, you hear about changes the Army's making to their training. Is there a refitment? I've heard of almost a refitment camp before recruits who are not really normally eligible physically to join the Army can go to these training stations. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So it's not for people that's physically. It's for people that's overweight.
Yeah.
So if they don't meet the weight requirements, then they go to Fort Jackson. The age groups are different. The older the person, the more what's called BMI, body mass index, you're allowed to have when they tape you, or if you don't make that certain weight on our table charts. So we're allowed to put them in the Army at 6% over that. But then they have to go to Fort Jackson until they lose that. I've sent 3 people to that camp. It's not what a lot of people on the civilian side think it is. They're not running them to death. None of that stuff. That don't even happen. It's just basically really strict dieting.
Yeah, that's what I read.
Yeah, it's really strict dieting, so they lose the weight the healthy way, instead of starving them to death, running them to death. It's not like that. They do normal PT, like what I would do on a day-to-day basis in the morning, and then they're done, and then they just diet.
And that's what I read. They can't tell them what to eat, correct?
They can't.
Because I saw where they have like a table set up, and on this other, it's like color-coded.
Yep.
From the most healthiest foods to the least healthiest, and it kind of runs on the table. But they really encourage that,
yeah.
that they pick healthy.
They do. They encourage a lot. But it's just basically, they just look at them and be like, you sure you want to eat this?
Yeah.
Are you ready to go to basic? Because if you eat this, you're not going to basic.
Yeah.
Yep.
How long does that program last?
That can last 2 weeks to 2 months.
So it's
It's up to them until they've lost the weight.
Are they a recruit at that point?
Oh yeah, they're a recruit at that point. They're getting paid.
Okay.
They're getting their uniforms. They're getting all that stuff.
Okay, so your service time has started when you
It
go.
started.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I see.
Is there a point where a person's so overweight that they can't even go to that camp, or is it kind of like the person has the potential in that period of time to become physically able to go to boot camp? Is it within reason that a person can go to this refitment camp?
Yeah, it's within reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
Can you just take too long at one of those refitment camps?
No.
So it's unlimited time, I guess.
Pretty much. They're going to let you succeed. That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
Is to help you succeed. just like your drill sergeants at basic. They're there to help you succeed. No one fails unless they want to fail.
Yeah.
You get what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
People who aren't physically fit and stuff like that go through basic training and stuff like that, I hear that a lot too. I don't want to leave yet because I'm not physically fit. You're never going to be physically fit. You know what I mean? You're never. That stuff takes time, but that's what the training's for, is to build you up to that level.
Yeah.
That's what that's for.
I knew a student who was active in the JROTC program at our high school and who ran cross country, and he actually ended up enlisting after he graduated high school. How much of sports involvement? How much does that play into the recruiting process?
None. If you played sports in high school, you played sports in high school.
Yeah.
I guess it makes the physicality some.
I mean, it's going to help you,
I mean,
in the long run.
generally that, yeah.
But there's difference in running sprints all day, like on a football team, just running back and forth to the 50-yard line and stuff like that. There's a big difference in doing that and then running 2 miles straight.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference. So sometimes, the athletes may do a little bit better on push-ups, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they still just do just as bad as normal Joe Smo off the street. Because they've been training for different physical stuff, and the Army's way different.
Yeah.
Is it more endurance in the Army?
Oh, very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about endurance.
Our school has a Raiders program.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that's pretty common across the country, Raiders programs?
Yeah. If they have a major JROTC, just like Carroll County does, they all have Raiders.
Is that something that you encourage students to do? Because I
Most
know
definitely.
at our school we can join Raiders without being in JROTC.
Most definitely do the Raiders because it helps them out, because you're going to do the endurance part. That's going to get you physically ready for basic if you decide to go that route.
So we talked a little bit about the recruitment crisis. It's pretty bad right now, like you said. What are other measures the Army's taken to kind of get this control?
Really, in a way, measures that we're taking, it ain't really measures that we're taking. It's, you do good for us, we're going to do good for you. Some of these jobs offer big bonuses. It's basically an incentive just like a college would do. A lot of people look at it as we're trying to buy people off. We're not. That's why a college will pay for it sometimes with scholarships. If you do good for them, they're going to do good for you. It's the same way with the military. You do good for us, we're going to do good for you. So it kind of works out the same way. Even jobs around here, like the prison, what they offer, what was it? I think like a $6,000 to $8,000 bonus just for going to work at the prison in Grayson. It's pretty much the same thing, is what it is. But not all jobs come with that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
It's only jobs that the Army really needs people in. Is that what we need them for?
Are those sometimes harder jobs to fill, or just unglamorous jobs? Due to skill, I guess.
It's not really about glamorous and stuff like that. The job's a job.
Yeah, that's true. But
it's based off the person. If they don't want to do that job, they ain't got to do that job.
yeah.
Do you see people joining the infantry less today and wanting more specialized jobs like tech and IT and communications?
So, with me personally, I'm the only combat guy in my office. And then the station commander is a mechanic. And the AGR guy, he's been reserves his whole career. This is his first active duty assignment. He's an MP. So he's military police. His main focus is to put people in reserves because he's been in the reserves. I never have. So he can really talk it up and talk about what his day-to-day life was to explain it better to people. Me, I can explain how combat works real quick.
Yeah.
I put a lot of people in infantry, in field artillery, combat jobs because I can talk about it a whole lot. If someone's interested in something different, I do my homework, I look it all up, I give them the facts and everything about it. But yeah, I put a lot of people in infantry and stuff.
So Luke mentioned IT. I'm pretty favorable towards IT. I would like to pursue that as a profession later on in life.
Okay.
What's an IT job like in the Army?
It's according to what you do.
Yeah. Well,
There's all kinds of IT jobs.
yeah, that's true. So the veteran that we spoke to did networking, switching. I don't know what his MOS was, but it was that. How fulfilling of those roles in the Army.
Yeah.
And he went to Afghanistan too, and I don't think he really ever.
Yeah.
He pretty much stayed. Is it called the FOB? It's the big military
Yep.
bases.
It's called the FOB. There's different ones. I went to Afghanistan too.
Oh, okay.
And then I've been to Poland, Germany, South Korea. So I've been a lot of places and done everything.
And I'd love to talk about that a little bit more about your foreign travels. What was your favorite place to live? Which country did you enjoy the culture the most?
Poland.
Poland.
Yeah. Poland was awesome.
When going to other countries, how hard is it to communicate with people that live there that don't speak English?
Well, sometimes they give us like a little book, and it basically has their language in it, and then we can study it. Nowadays is different compared to say like during World War II and stuff like that. Most of these foreign nationals do speak English.
Yeah.
It's just if they want to. A lot of times we learn a few sentences to introduce ourselves in their language, and then that breaks the ice, and then we can communicate. And that always breaks the ice because it shows them that we're respectful and that we want to communicate with them. So we'll introduce ourselves in their language to them.
Have you ever experienced any animosity towards you because you're a service member in their
No.
Or an
country?
American.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean Afghanistan, but I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
Yeah.
what years did you go to Afghanistan?
2012.
2012.
Yeah.
Which province were you?
RC South.
That's
Yeah. Kabul Providence.
cool.
Yeah.
How long were you there for? Was it
9 months.
9 months.
Yeah.
9 months.
Do you have any interesting stories from that time?
Not really.
No.
No.
What was the weather like up there?
Hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Because they said it gets really, really cold in the winter. Too.
It does. So we left during the winter time frame
Yeah.
because I had came back home just in time for Christmas, and it was cold. And when I say people don't think that it snows out there, it will snow up to your knees.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it even snows out there.
Which is kind of weird because when you think of Afghanistan, you think of
Desert, scorching
desert.
heat.
Yeah. But it's in the mountains too.
Yes, very much in the mountain.
Yeah. So how hot did it really get out there? Because you hear.
I mean, it got pretty hot.
Yeah.
I mean, it can get up to 100 plus.
Yeah.
So it's pretty warm. Believe me.
So did you come back home after Afghanistan, or did you go to another?
No, I come back home.
Come back home.
Yeah.
You mentioned Poland. Which other countries did you?
South Korea.
South
South
Korea.
Korea,
yeah.
I've had some family members that were stationed in South Korea. And they talked about the culture, working with, was it the ROC soldiers?
The Rock Army. Yeah.
ROC Army.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I can tell how just kind of crazy they were to work with.
Yeah.
Tough. Can you talk about working with foreign soldiers? How does that kind of work out? Do you work in combined units sometimes?
It's like combined, like we'll go train side by side and stuff like that. And then we'll talk, we'll chat, stuff like that. We'll hang out, have fun, stuff like that. But when it's training time, stuff like that. Normally it's side by side. We're doing our thing, they're doing their thing. And then afterwards we meet in the middle.
Is just learn how to kind of move around together?
Yeah, we just move around together. It's more off lower leveled, like where we, even for NCOs and stuff like that. You're not really one-on-one. That's more command team stuff. That's one-on-one. So it's more like the commanders moving around a whole lot together, but then they're just pushing us around as well, where we need to go.
How far were you stationed from the DMZ?
As close as I could get. I was at Camp Casey.
Okay.
So I was as far north as you could go.
Did you ever see any North Korean soldiers on the
No.
wall?
No.
Yeah.
No. There's a fake village right there where we was at. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a series of questions about contracts. How long was your initial contract?
3 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
What's the process like to, is it called an extension or signing another contract?
Re-enlistment.
Re-enlistment?
Yeah.
What's that process like?
You go see what's called a retention NCO, and then he draws up the paperwork and he goes over it with you. You can either switch your job if you want to, or go to a different duty station if you want to, or you can neutralize and stay there, stabilization, and stay where you're at in the same unit, same place where you're at. He just goes over that with you, and then you pick how long you want to re-enlist for.
Okay.
You can do 2 years. He can say, hey, you can do an extension for like another year, or you can go all the way up to 6 years.
Okay. So what did you choose to do when you enlisted?
3 years after that, and then once I done that, we pretty much left, and then I re-enlisted in Poland for 6 years last time.
the Army has a 2-year enlistment option.
Mhm.
No, correct.
Yep.
Do you see many young people going into the 2-year program?
None of them.
Really?
I have yet to put someone into 2 years commitment.
Because that's something that's very attractive for someone like me and Luke.
Yeah.
Because you see, pretty much by the time you get out of all your training, you only have like what, a year and a half left in the Army.
Well, you got to think it's according to what job you have too.
Yeah.
That's true.
Some of these jobs, AIT is extremely long.
Yeah.
Combat medic,
Oh, yeah.
it's like 20 weeks itself.
Really.
Yeah. Some of these jobs, IT, aviation jobs,
Yeah.
you're looking at like 6-7 months of just training. So you got to think 9 weeks, add 9 weeks of basic to that. So by the time you're done, you've only got a few months.
Yeah.
If a person's probably going to look into aviation, I wouldn't think they would join for
Next
2
two
years.
Next
Yeah.
2, yeah. We mentioned re-enlisting, and you said you could choose to go to do a different job. Would you have to go through AIT again to do that?
Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It's according to what job you pick.
Yeah.
If you pick something really high tech, yeah, you're going to have to go back to AIT.
Yeah.
But then they segregate you from the actual AIT students. That's like privates and stuff like that, because normally you're going to be a higher rank
Yeah.
than them, and you're experienced. Sometimes they do what's called in-house training. So if it's something,
It's kind of like an internship, maybe?
yeah, they'll do it like that. If it's something like if you're going to be a horizontal engineer or something like that, and it's mainly building roads and running bulldozers, they'll do it in-house training
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and you'll just side by side learn in your unit.
If you have a person with prior law enforcement experience, will that help them with the certifications to become an MP?
No,
Will make it easier?
No.
no,
Interesting.
it's not.
Yeah, so what's the MP process like?
Sometimes that hurts people, even from being an MP,
Really?
going straight out and becoming law enforcement and civilian side. Because you got to look at it like this. You're going to learn two different styles of rules.
Yeah.
So if you're a law enforcement officer and you're like, oh, I want to join the Army as an MP, be military police, they have a hard time transitioning because they are taking civilian laws and civilian rules, and now they're having to brain dump all that
Yeah.
to learn military rules and regulations.
Since my grandfather was an MP in the Army, and then became a state trooper once he got out of the Army. I've never really talked about that transition, but because I've never kind of thought about that.
Yep.
How the rules are totally different.
Yeah.
It's totally different rules and regulations. They're similar in a way, but in a way they're not.
Yeah.
So they have to remember things they can do, things they can't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've talked to a few veterans that participated in a skill bridge program. The last year in service, they worked with a company. I guess kind of like an internship, paid internship of sorts. Can you explain what skill bridge is?
Skill bridge is basically they're going through the process of soldier for life. So they're getting out and they're transitioning.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure on the Marines and the Navy and Air Force, the other branches. I'm not sure what they do. I know the Army does the Soldier for Life program. And it used to be called ACAP a few years back. But basically they prepped you and prepared you and helped you get a job. So you was not leaving the Army without a plan.
Okay. Yeah.
So they had something lined up for you automatically. Yeah. That's what that is.
Okay. I see. Yeah.
You see many people want to come in and become Army Rangers or go into Special Forces.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot. What do you tell them? Do you tell them to go to infantry school first and kind of get that basic
I do.
combat training?
I do. The dropout rate is extremely high.
Yeah,
If they go from the street straight into that, 9 times out of 10, they're going to fail.
Yeah.
Automatic straight off the bat. Some of them, they might make it, but they're still going to fail. Because what it is well, like, especially Special Forces, if they join for 18 X-ray, they'll fail you sometimes even if you've been in the service for a while and you try out for Special Forces. They'll fail you on purpose to see if you'll come back because they want dedicated people. They don't want someone who's there for just a tab and a badge. They want people who actually really, really want to do this. So, yeah.
Yeah, because I thought that, you hear people talk all the time. So they want to go in the Army, and so what do you want to do? And some come on the Ranger. And that's cool, but I watched a lot of documentaries, and it's a lot of tough training.
It's a year of training.
Yeah.
That's if they make it.
Tough training.
Yeah.
Can you talk more about the job of an Army combat engineer?
12 Bravo?
Yeah.
Okay. It's pretty much basically you're going to be blowing up bridges, breaching in doors, blowing up buildings. I mean, that's pretty much what a combat engineer does. Is he blows stuff up.
Yeah.
So you deal with a lot of explosives.
All right. Because I've always kind of wondered, because you look it up, it says like building bridges and constructing roads and stuff.
You help.
Yeah.
But your main focus is to destroy stuff as well.
I got you. Well, Ethan, I think as we're wrapping up, we always have a series of questions.
Yeah.
And I think you'll be really interested to ask this one too. What is your advice to kids just getting out of college? They don't really know what they kind of want to do, but they're looking for general life advice, general direction.
Not necessarily college, so high school as well.
High school as well.
Yeah.
The military is definitely a dynamite option. Mm-hmm. It opens the doors to a lot of things that you necessarily wouldn't have the doors open to. Mm-hmm. Anybody can have a college degree. Yeah. Anybody can nowadays. But I always talk to people and I tell them I can get a college degree as well for the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. But if employers are looking at you, you got to think, what does the military do for you? Yeah. It instills discipline, respect, pride, how to show up on time, how to be the right place, right time, no matter what uniform you're wearing for what job. You take someone who's just graduated college, you take someone who's been in the service, have the same degree, same job interview, who's going to get the job? Because at the end of the day, my resume is going to look 10 times better than yours. Because I have a resume even now, as we're talking. I've been over at least over $18 million worth of equipment with a howitzer, being a section chief for a howitzer. I've got 2 leadership colleges underneath me. Mm-hmm. So I know how to be a leader. I know how to lead people. Mm-hmm. They look at that stuff, these companies and everything like that. So if I got the same college degree as the college grad does, they're going to look at me and then look at them, and they're going to be like, we're going with them. Yeah. Not just because of the fact that I've been in the military. It's because of the fact that I know how to lead people. I know how to be on time. I know how to be respectful. Yeah. I have pride in what I'm going to be doing. Stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That's why a lot of times, even if it's just for 3 years, do that. Yeah. And get what you want out of it and let the Army pay for it. Mm-hmm. And then get out and you're going to have the doors open. Yeah. Yep.
Our next question. We ask every interviewee this question because it's a question most people don't want to ask, but we get really interesting answers out of it.
What's the meaning of life to you?
The what?
The meaning of life.
The meaning of life?
Yeah.
To you personally.
To me, personally, the meaning of life. To always be good. Mm-hmm. To do what I need to do to take care of my family. And support my country. Mm-hmm. That's the meaning of life. So that way one day I will hit the end state and the end goal. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know how religious y'all are, but I mean, me personally, I am. So that's my end goal. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Well, sir, it's been an honor to speak to you today. Thank you for coming on. I think it's been extremely interesting.
Yes.
Thank you.
No problem, guys.
My name is Jeffrey Watson.
And I'm Ethan Edwards.
And this is the Ridge Podcast.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Instagram, and as well as your favorite podcasting app. Our email is theridgepodcast@gmail.com, and our website is theridgepodcast.com.
If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you.